It was a frigid Tuesday morning in mid-March 2025 at Pinewood Heights Academy, a sprawling public high school nestled in a small town surrounded by evergreen forests. The cafeteria hummed with the usual chaos of clattering trays, overlapping conversations, and the occasional shout of laughter piercing through the din. At precisely 12:15 p.m., the noise seemed to hiccup, at least around table 8, when Amara Lewis, a 15-year-old black sophomore with sharp hazel eyes and a cascade of braids, stepped into the fray. She carried a modest lunch tray, a turkey sandwich, an apple, and a carton of milk. Her best friend was home with the flu, leaving her to navigate the crowded room alone. She'd already passed 2 tables where heads stayed buried in phones, another where a girl flicked her eyes up only to look away, and a 4th where a snicker followed her like a shadow. Amara didn't flinch. She was used to the subtle dismissals, the quiet exclusions. She just wanted a seat. Then she spotted table 8. It wasn't empty, but there was space. A handful of students lounged there. A couple of lacrosse players, a girl in a glittery cheer squad hoodie, and at the center, sprawled like he owned the place, was Hunter Grayson, a senior with a mop of chestnut hair and a jawline that could have been chiseled from stone. Hunter was the school's golden boy, captain of the lacrosse team, homecoming king, and notorious for his biting sarcasm that always drew a crowd. His hazel eyes, cold and unyielding, flicked up as Amara approached. She didn't care about his status or the whispers that followed him like a fan club. She was hungry. Her legs ached from a long morning of classes, and she'd had enough of wandering. Setting her tray down gently, she slid into an empty chair. Hunter's head tilted, a predator sizing up prey. "You can't sit here," he said, his voice cutting through the table's chatter like a knife. Amara paused, her sandwich halfway to her mouth, and met his gaze. "I didn't see a reserved sign," she replied, her tone even, almost curious. The girl in the cheer hoodie shifted uncomfortably, staring at her nails. A lacrosse player coughed into his fist. Hunter leaned forward, elbows on the table, his smirk sharp enough to draw blood. "This table," he said, dragging out each word as if she were hard of hearing, "isn't for people like you." The phrase hung in the air, heavy and deliberate. Amara's pulse quickened, but her face stayed calm. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked, her voice steady despite the heat rising in her chest. Hunter shrugged, loud enough for the whole table to hear. "This school's got a vibe, you know? Built for us. You don't fit here, at this table, in this room, whatever. So move." A nervous chuckle rippled from the lacrosse player. The cheerleader's eyes darted to her phone, fingers scrolling furiously. Amara didn't blink. "It's a table," she said simply. "I've got as much right to it as you do." Hunter's smirk faltered, his eyes narrowing. "I said move," he growled, voice low and edged with menace. Every head at table 8 turned, some with pity, others with guilt, none with the guts to intervene. Amara picked up her apple, took a slow, deliberate bite, and chewed. The crunch was the only sound for a moment, a quiet rebellion. Hunter's hand slammed down, rattling trays. "I'm not messing around, kid." Then, from a nearby table, a stifled laugh broke the tension, not at Amara, but at Hunter. A junior with a phone had caught it all on video. By the time the bell rang for 5th period, the clip was bouncing between group chats, a spark waiting to ignite. The week at Pinewood Heights Academy stretched into a gauntlet for Amara Lewis. By Wednesday, the cafeteria had become a stage, and Hunter Grayson, emboldened by Tuesday's viral standoff, had cast himself as the unrelenting director. The air felt thicker each day Amara stepped through the double doors, her tray a shield, her silence a weapon she hadn't yet fully realized she wielded. Hunter, however, saw her refusal to bend as a challenge to his reign, and he wasn't about to let it slide. His clique, lacrosse teammates, cheerleaders, and hangers-on, washed with bated breath, their loyalty tethered to his charisma and the unspoken power his family name carried. His father owned half the town's hardware stores. His older brother was a deputy at the sheriff's office. Hunter was untouchable, or so he thought. Tuesday's incident had set the tone. By Wednesday morning, as Amara crossed the cafeteria with her lunch, macaroni and cheese, a side of green beans, and a juice box, Hunter's voice boomed across the room before she even reached a table. "Hey, everyone, it's Harriet Tubman, fresh off the tracks." The words landed like a slap, freezing the chatter mid-syllable. A few students snickered, their laughter brittle and forced. Others stared at their trays, forks hovering. Amara kept walking, her stride unbroken, her hazel eyes fixed ahead. She found a seat at table 3 this time, far from Hunter's domain, but close enough for his voice to carry. Her hands trembled as she unwrapped her straw, but she refused to give him the satisfaction of a glance. Thursday brought a new jab. Hunter leaned against table 8, flanked by his crew, as Amara entered. "Yo, hope y'all brought your food stamps today. Looks like someone's mooching off the system again." The room stilled, a collective inhale holding the moment hostage. A sophomore nearby choked on his soda, masking a laugh. The cheerleader from Tuesday, Lila, with her glittery hoodie, picked at her salad, eyes glued to the table. Amara's chest tightened, her pulse a drumbeat in her ears, but she sat at table 5, opened her juice, and sipped. Her calm was a wall Hunter couldn't climb, and it infuriated him. Friday escalated the stakes. As Amara navigated the lunch line, Hunter's voice sliced through the noise. "Careful, guys, she's got that vibe. Might start twerking or hexing us if we're not nice." The comment was sharper, uglier, laced with a venom that turned heads beyond his usual audience. Another video flickered to life. Someone at table 7 had their phone angled just right. Whispers rippled outward. Did he really say that? Teachers lingered at the edges of the room, their eyes darting away when Amara looked up. The lunch lady, Mrs. Carter, offered a tight-lipped smile and an extra scoop of mashed potatoes, but said nothing. No one stepped in. Hunter's privilege was a fortress, his family's influence a moat no staff member dared cross. Amara ate alone each day, her best friend still absent, her solitude a spotlight she hadn't asked for. The videos spread like wildfire across Snapchat and TikTok, #sprouting, #Pinewood drama, #table 8 standoff. Students watched her now, some with curiosity, others with unease, but none with words of support. Hunter's taunts grew louder, his audience more complicit with every laugh they didn't stifle. Yet Amara's silence held firm, a quiet storm brewing beneath her steady gaze. She wasn't invisible, not anymore. The cafeteria had become a battlefield, and Hunter had no idea he'd already lost the first skirmish because Amara wasn't running. She was digging in. Friday morning at Pinewood Heights Academy carried a weight Amara Lewis hadn't felt before. The air outside was crisp, the sky a pale gray promising rain, but inside the school, a different storm was brewing. She'd woken up resolved, her hazel eyes tracing the ceiling of her bedroom as she replayed the week's humiliations, Hunter Grayson's taunts, the snickers, the averted gazes. Enough was enough. She dressed in her favorite navy sweater, pulled her braids into a high ponytail, and walked the 3 blocks to school with purpose. By 10 a.m., she stood outside the principal's office, her knock soft but firm. The door swung open, and there he was, Principal Marcus Lewis, her father. Marcus was a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s, with a salt and pepper beard and a voice that could silence a room without rising. Today, he wore a charcoal blazer over a crisp white shirt, his tie a muted green that matched Amara's eyes. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked, gesturing to the chair across his desk. Amara sat, her hands steady as she met his gaze. "It's been a week, Dad. Hunter Grayson, he's not stopping. You've seen the videos." "Everyone has." Marcus sighed, leaning back in his chair. He'd heard whispers about Hunter before, complaints from other students, notes from teachers too timid to push harder. "We've warned him," he said. "Documented it. But his father's got pull, always finds a way to bury it." Amara leaned forward. Then unbury it. Her voice was calm, but there was steel in it, a resolve Marcus recognized as his own. He nodded slowly, a plan forming behind his eyes. Lunch period arrived like clockwork, the cafeteria buzzing with its usual energy. Amara stepped in, tray in hand, chicken nuggets, fries, and a water bottle, and made straight for table 8. Hunter was there, lounging with his crew, his chestnut hair catching the fluorescent light. As she approached, he grinned, sensing another round. "What's up, princess of handouts? Got your throne today?" he called, loud enough for heads to turn. Amara didn't flinch. She set her tray down, slid into the same chair she'd claimed Tuesday, and stared at him. Hunter stood, knocking over a soda can in mock outrage. "I said that seat's not for—" His words died mid-sentence. A voice cut through the room, deep and commanding, from the cafeteria's double doors. "Sit down, Hunter." It wasn't Amara's. Principal Marcus Lewis strode in, his footsteps a steady drumbeat on the tile floor. The room hushed, trays clattering to a stop. He crossed the space in seconds, towering over Hunter, who shrank an inch under the weight of that gaze. "Hunter Grayson," Marcus said, his tone a blade wrapped in velvet. "You're to report to my office. Now." Hunter smirked, but it wobbled. "What for?" Marcus didn't blink. "For a documented pattern of racial harassment, targeted bullying, and disrupting this school's environment. Your expulsion papers are signed. You're done here." The cafeteria went graveyard quiet. A gasp slipped from Lila, the cheerleader. A phone buzzed. Someone was recording. Hunter's mouth flapped, no sound coming out. "You can't," he started. "I can," Marcus interrupted. "And I did." He turned to the room. "This school doesn't shield hate. If you think it's a game, you're about to lose." He nodded at Amara, who finally let a small smile break through, not for Hunter's fall, but for the silence she'd shattered. By Friday evening, the news of Hunter Grayson's expulsion from Pinewood Heights Academy had spilled beyond the school's walls, igniting Pinewood Heights like a match dropped in dry grass. The town, a tight-knit knot of 10,000 souls surrounded by towering pines, was no stranger to gossip. But this was different, raw, divisive, electric. Local news vans parked outside the school, their cameras catching the last stragglers of students whispering about the cafeteria showdown. On social media, the fracture was immediate. Facebook groups like Pinewood Parents and Heights Community Watch erupted. "Overreaction. Boys will be boys." One post screamed. "Finally, some accountability." Countered another. "Hunter said what we're all thinking. Why punish him?" Amara Lewis saw it all from her phone, sprawled across her bed, her navy sweater still on from the day. Hunter's father, Tom Grayson, didn't waste time. A burly man with a perpetual scowl and a chain of hardware stores to his name, he stormed into the school board's emergency meeting that night, demanding a reversal. "This is a witch hunt," he bellowed, his voice echoing off the wood-paneled walls. "The evidence, videos, witness statements, years of brushed-off complaints, was too public, too damning." The board held firm, but Tom vowed to fight on. Back home, Amara's father, Principal Marcus Lewis, fielded calls from reporters and threats veiled as concerned parents. The town split down the middle. Half saw justice, half saw a martyr in Hunter, a twisted nostalgia for when kids could be kids. Saturday morning brought a knock at the Lewis modest brick house on Elm Street. Amara, sketching wildflowers in her journal, a habit that steadied her nerves, heard her father's boots thud to the door. Sheriff Dan Hargrove stood there, hat in hand, his weathered face tight with unease. "Marcus," he said, scratching his neck, "just thought you should know. Grayson's folks are stirring the pot. Town hall's next week, and they're pushing the board again." Marcus crossed his arms, his jaw set. "Let them try." The sheriff's voice dropped. "And, someone spray-painted the school sign last night. Go back where you came from. Figured you'd want a heads up." Amara, listening from the stairs, felt her pencil pause mid-pedal. Her breath caught, but fear didn't take root. She'd faced worse all week. Downstairs, Marcus stayed stone-faced. "Appreciate it, Dan. We'll handle it." The sheriff tipped his hat and left, the screen door creaking shut. Amara descended, her journal tucked under her arm. "You okay, Dad?" she asked. He turned, his deep brown eyes softening. "Are you?" She nodded. "I'm not scared of them." Marcus pulled her into a quick hug, his voice low. "Good. Neither am I." Outside, the town churned. Some neighbors waved as usual when Amara stepped onto the porch later. Others crossed the street to avoid her gaze. The videos kept circulating, hashtags multiplying. Hashtag justice for Amara. Hashtag Hunter was right. A local diner put up a sign. Support our kids, not cancel culture. Across the street, a barbershop countered with hate ain't welcome. Monday morning broke over Pinewood Heights Academy with a chill that clung to the air, the sky bruised with clouds threatening a downpour. Amara Lewis walked through the school gates, her navy sweater swapped for a denim jacket, her braids swaying with each step. She wasn't alone this time. Outside the main entrance, a crowd of students, maybe 50, maybe more, stood in a loose semicircle, their breath fogging in the cold. Some held signs scribbled in marker. "No room for hate. Stand with Amara. Expel bigotry, not truth." Others had duct tape over their mouths, clutching posters that read, "Enough," in bold red letters. Amara froze, her hazel eyes wide, her heart thudding against her ribs. These were kids who'd never spoken to her, juniors from the debate team, freshmen she'd passed in the halls, even a lacrosse player who'd sat at Hunter's table. A girl with purple streaks in her hair stepped forward, a shy smile breaking through her nerves. "Thank you," she whispered, then melted back into the crowd. Applause started, soft, tentative, then louder as hands clapped and signs waved. Amara nodded, unsure what to say, and walked through them, their support a quiet roar at her back. Inside, the school felt different, too still, the usual buzz muted. Then came the crash. A sharp, shattering sound echoed from the main hallway. Heads turned, footsteps quickened. Red paint splattered the wall where a mural once stood. A vibrant scene of students from every background, hands linked, now dripping like an open wound. Beside it, scrawled in black, "You broke us." Whispers erupted. Security cameras had caught the culprit. Hunter Grayson, hooded and reckless, sneaking in before dawn. Another video, another nail in his coffin. By noon, Principal Marcus Lewis called an assembly. The auditorium was packed, students spilling into the aisles, teachers lining the walls. Marcus took the stage, Amara beside him, her denim jacket a quiet armor. He didn't speak as her father this time. He spoke as a force. "I won't pretend everything's fine," he began, his voice steady, cutting through the hum. "It's not. Some think calling out hate causes trouble, that naming racism is worse than the act itself." The room went silent, breaths held. Hunter Grayson wasn't expelled for a prank. It was a pattern, ugly, deliberate, and dangerous. "It stops here." A hand shot up. Sophie Kane, Hunter's girlfriend, cheer vice captain, her blonde ponytail trembling. "He didn't mean it like that," she said, voice cracking. "He was joking." Amara stepped forward, her gaze locking with Sophie's. "I don't care what he meant," she said, her words clear, unshaken. "I know what it did. He made me feel like I didn't belong, like my skin was a crime, my presence a punchline. I had to walk in here every day like it didn't hurt. But I'm not invisible. I'm not a joke. I belong." Silence swallowed the room. Then applause, slow, then thunderous. One student stood, then 10, then half the auditorium, feet stomping the bleachers. Sophie sank into her seat, head bowed. Outside, the rain finally fell, washing the paint from the mural, but not the message. Amara had spoken, and Pinewood Heights heard her, loud and clear. The week after Hunter Grayson's second strike unfolded like a slow unraveling at Pinewood Heights Academy. The school board meeting loomed on Thursday evening, a showdown the town couldn't ignore. Hunter's father, Tom Grayson, rallied his allies, business owners, old classmates, anyone who'd nod to his version of events. They packed the meeting room, a sweaty box of folding chairs and flickering lights, claiming bias from Principal Marcus Lewis. "He's her father. It's personal," Tom roared, slamming a fist on the table. His wife, pale and tight-lipped, clutched a stack of printed emails from concerned parents. But the tide had turned. Students, dozens of them, flooded the board with evidence, screenshots of Hunter's texts, old videos of slurs tossed like confetti, stories of threats brushed off for years. A junior named Ethan, once too scared to speak, emailed a recording of Hunter mocking his accent in freshman gym. The dam broke. Amara Lewis sat in the back row, her denim jacket swapped for a simple black hoodie, her braids tucked under a beanie. She didn't speak, didn't need to. The witnesses did it for her, their voices a chorus of belated courage. The board deliberated for an hour, emerging with a unanimous vote. Hunter's expulsion stood. He was barred from the district, no appeal left. The fallout was swift. By Friday, his lacrosse scholarship to state vanished. Coaches didn't want the baggage. Tom resigned his Chamber of Commerce seat, his hardware empire tainted by whispers. Hunter's name, once a badge of pride, became a cautionary tale traded over diner coffee and barbershop clippers. Months ticked by, and Amara changed, not by choice, but by necessity. Spring warmed Pinewood Heights, the pines shedding their frost, and she stepped into new roles. She joined the student council, her hazel eyes scanning agendas with quiet authority. She pitched an anti-bullying task force, and it launched by May, with 20 members and a mission to rewrite the school's silence. In June, she spoke at a town hall event. Belonging is a birthright. Her voice steady as she faced a mixed crowd of applause and folded arms. She wore a white blouse that night, her braids loose, a sketchbook tucked under her arm as a reminder of who she'd always been. Table 8 transformed too. No longer Hunter's throne, it became a free zone. Kids from every clique, every shade, sat there without ceremony. A freshman with blue hair shared fries with a senior in a debate club sweater. A lacrosse player, once Hunter's shadow, nodded at Amara one day. No words, just respect. The cafeteria hummed differently now, not with fear, but with possibility. Racism still lurked, whispers in the halls, a sidelong glance, but its armor had cracked. Amara didn't shout it down. She'd sat, waited, and let it crumble under its own weight. By summer, Pinewood Heights Academy bore scars and stitches. Black and brown students walked taller, their laughter less guarded. Teachers met eyes they'd once avoided. The mural, repainted, gleamed brighter, hands linked across colors, a promise renewed. Amara sketched it one afternoon, her wildflowers softer now, less jagged. She wasn't a hero in the loud, caped sense, just a girl who'd refused to shrink. And that, somehow, had been enough to topple on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know, what do you think? Your support means the world, and we can't wait to bring you more incredible stories like this.